Well, hello, everybody. Hello, once again. I'm so glad to have you here. This is another week of Spirits Beside Us Live. I'm so excited to have you all here. Sorry that we had to move the broadcast over to today, which is Thursday, but we had some issues that kind of got in the way. But one of the things I wanted to do was just say, happy Thursday and happy end of October. This is getting to my favorite time of the year. We're now approaching Halloween, which is definitely one of the more fun times of the year. You get to see not only all the decorations and all the scary ghosties and all the incredible things, but you also have this sort of festive affair. And in light of the fact that it's Halloween, I just wanted to put up a great Halloween image. These great Halloween images of kids getting out, trick or treating, putting on their costumes and whatnot. So definitely hope you have a great Halloween. I think it's coming this weekend, if I'm right. Um, but it's going to be really a lot of fun. I wish I was still a kid and still go out. Although everybody has parties, everybody's dresses up, so that alter ego starts to really come out, and you really start to have fun. You put on a mask, or you put on a costume, you go to a party, and you just start acting like nobody knows you, and that's really sort of something that is a lot of fun. So that's enough about Halloween. So just wanted to back up a little bit. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Chris Lippincott. I'm the one who's always broadcasting the Spirits Beside Us live every week, and we're typically here on Wednesdays. Today's a Thursday. But just as a little background on me, who I am is I'm a spiritual mentor. I'm a spiritual medium. I'm an international medium, best-selling author, and one of the things I try to do is to really help people understand that there is so much more beyond the physical reality that we're aware of, and that our consciousness survives the transition from the physical state to the non physical state. So many people call it death, so many people call it the end of life. But if anything, it's a transition from a material life where we're all bogged down in this material world to a much more loving, higher vibration, more peaceful state where people are even more alive. It's heard that we are actually going to a place where we're finally waking up. Because here we are in this dream of ours, walking along every single day in this material world. We're sort of in a waking state. It's kind of like being in a bad dream. In fact, a lot of spirits come back and they say it's like they woke up from a bad dream. So that's kind of one of the things I love to talk about. So today's topic that we're going to discuss is not only about the reality that we're experiencing and the fact that there's a quite different reality that we talk about today, but what we can do with that. And that's sort of like going to be the summary of this whole month's topic. So again, if you're out there and you want to say hi, say give me your name, your where you're from, give me a wave, whatever it is out there. Let me know that you're out there and having fun. Because I love to connect with people. So without further ado, one of the things I wanted to kind of touch base on is what we're going to talk about today. Um, and it's definitely one of the things that I love to talk about. And it's again the reality that's so much beyond, farther beyond what we normally talk about. But since we're in a place where we're beginning to realize, in fact, that the reality in which we live is truly shaped by us, and that the reality in which we live is something that we're actually creating every day. And it goes back to the fact that we are just energy. We're creating other energy. We're causing other energies to come together. We talked about this over the last several weeks. In fact, we talked about this over the whole month. So I'm not going to belabor that whole point, except to say that we are energy. And in fact, I wanted to kind of bring this whole concept up. Remember, we're all energy. We are all just living energy. Even the supposed electrons and neutrons and what have you, that's not even a real thing. Those are representations for moving things. But again, I'm not going to belabor the energy point because we've spoken about this now the entire month. Um, and also, the whole fact is that since we're energy, remember that our reality that we're in, the reality that we live in, is just an illusion. So everything that we live in, everything that we're experiencing every day, it's truly the illusion that we're experiencing. And then this is something that, as a result of the fact that we're energy, as a result of the fact that we are able to interact with the energy that is quote unquote out there beyond our awareness, we're actually creating everything that we're perceiving. And that's the whole concept. That's the whole idea to understand, is that because you're creating your reality, you have a great deal of control, not only of the reality, but how you react to it. In fact, the biggest point, the biggest takeaway from today should be that one of the primary things that you have control over, not only just what you create in your reality, but you have primary control over how you react. And remember, as you have primary control over what you do and what you react when something happens to you, it's up to you to control your reaction. You can't really control other people, except that you're going to control what happens around them and what you're doing to create them. Because remember, all the reality that's around you, this is something that you're creating. But this is something that you created from past thoughts. Remember what Buddha said. Buddha said, all that we are is a result of what we have thought. Past tense. So our prior thoughts create our present reality. So as we think today, we're creating tomorrow's future. Think about that for a second. So now, as you're experiencing all these things that are around you, let's say, for example, you run into a person that starts abusing you, yelling at you, being mean to you, or they do something, or maybe they cut you off in traffic or whatever it is. All these things that happen to you in your reality, you may have unknowingly, unwittingly created based upon your thoughts. It may have been a negative thought. It may have been a depressing thought. It may have been negativity that was outside. But what you're ultimately doing is you're creating the thoughts. So if something happens to you, realize that these are things that you have created. And ultimately, the most important thing that you can do to create that inner peace that you're so desiring is to forgive the situation. Forgive the person, forgive the situation, forgive yourself for the response. But ultimately, remember the way that you can do that is understand that what's actually occurring when you're in that situation, you created it. You created the person, you created the situation. And as a result of you forgiving the person and forgiving the situation, you're ultimately forgiving yourself. And that's why you can say the most beneficial thing that you can do is to forgive others, to forgive the situation, because ultimately it's coming back to you. You are forgiving yourself. And when you forgive yourself, you're giving yourself self love, you're giving yourself self healing, you're giving others love, you're giving others healing, and you're creating this incredibly powerful positive vibration. And that's what is so important to understand. You are creating this phenomenal positivity. Now, forgiveness is something that everybody has been talking about for thousands of years. It's in all major religions. In fact, it is such a common situation, a common element of most religions that most people just don't even think about it. Now, I don't want to go into a religious teaching here, a religious diatribe, but suffice it to say, it's specifically mentioned in detail in every single religion. And I'm just going to put up something that is just a little idea here. This kind of shows you three of the major religions: Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. How they're all describing how important forgiveness is. In Christianity, of course, we're talking about Jesus, who was saying, "Forgive them; they know not what they do." They also Jesus taught us to forgive unconditionally. And, throughout the Lord's Prayer, in Judaism, forgiveness is considered a pious act. In Islam, the very word Islam is derived from peace, and the prerequisite for peace is forgiveness. So you can see how important forgiveness really is when you're talking about, the entire globe, major religions. This has been around for thousands of years. Now, how many of us actually act on forgiveness? Its problem is we've been raised in a culture, in a situation, in an environment where forgiveness is really tough. I'm not entirely sure why, but I think it's mostly our ego where we're kind of like defending ourselves because we're feeling attacked. So it's really something where you have to step back for a moment and begin to think, what's happening here and how do I react to it? Even if you don't think about the fundamental concept that we're all energy and we're actually creating our current reality. Aside from that very nature, let's assume that everybody is as solid as a tree. We're not going to get into that discussion, but just assume everybody is just as solid as you can possibly imagine, and you actually are interacting with these people, regardless of what your belief. Just imagine sending forgiveness. Have you ever heard of the butterfly effect? Your actions are like the actions of a butterfly. The butterfly effect states that a butterfly that begins to flap its wings theoretically will have a massive effect all the way out in Asia. If that butterfly is in South America, it'll just have all these knock-on effects, and it'll cause all these different things to start happening. It's like dominoes. Well, the same concept goes with forgiveness. If you forgive one person and you actually wind up sending healing or peace or love or positivity even to that one person is going to feel it in the slightest bit. They may not even recognize it. They may not even know it. They may not even be aware of it. But something inside them is going to just slightly move just a little bit. And that's going to help them in their next situation, their next interaction, their next discussion with somebody else. And that's just going to start creating this wave of positivity moving forward. So the more that you can give positivity, the more that you can give peace, the more that you can give forgiveness, which is what we're talking about, the more that's going to go around, because what goes around comes around. And again, we go back to the theoretical physics of this whole concept that we're creating our reality every second, and that what we're actually interacting with and the people we're actually interacting with are those perceptions of us. They're actually an extension of us. So if something happens to us, that's actually our doing. So if we forgive the extension of ourselves, we're literally forgiving ourselves. It's kind of a deep, rather mind-bending concept, but that's what this is all about. And that's why forgiveness is so important. Because everybody goes, oh, forgiveness, that's just a bunch of malarkey. Why do I need to deal with forgiveness? That's for, holy and pious and religious going people. I don't need to know that. Okay. But when it starts coming down to you, wouldn't you like to be forgiven? Wouldn't you like to feel forgiveness for yourself? Wouldn't you like to start feeling that somebody's forgiving you? If anything, you can start to say that forgiveness of another person is a purely selfish act, and there's nothing wrong with it. Be as forgiving as you possibly can. Be as selfish as you possibly can by forgiving other people. That sound a little odd? That kind of catch your attention? I hope it does. Because the whole idea is that what you're doing is sending out forgiveness to other people. If you send out forgiveness to other people, it's coming back to you, and that's perfectly selfish, and that's perfectly okay, because it all goes about forgiveness, it goes about love, it goes about positivity, and that's what this is all about. Now, next month, we're going to be talking about not only forgiveness, but understanding. We're going to be talking about compassion. We're going to be talking about peace. We're going to be talking about healing. We're going to be talking about giving love. And I hope you're starting to see a theme here, because all of these feelings and statements and things that we're talking about are all the ideas and concepts that we keep on receiving from people in spirit, our guides, our loved ones, the great, religious masters. We hear that all the time. So this is nothing new. But what I'm trying to do is to help you become more aware of it. And so I'm just going to keep on discussing this as we go through these different broadcasts, how spirit comes through to us, how spirit tries to discuss all these wonderful things. Because ultimately, spirit wants to send us all their love, and they want us to feel their love. Spirit wants us to be open to them, hear them, know them. And that's what this is all about. And if you can start to give others forgiveness, that's their ultimate goal. Their ultimate goal is to have you send out love, and also to have you love yourself, because they're in a state of love. They're in a state of perfection. They're in a state of peace and happiness. And this is really what it's all about, is that if we're allowing ourselves to be at a better state, we're literally helping ourselves to grow spiritually. It's about growing the inner spirit. And that's what this is all about. Growing the inner spirit, spiritual growth, opening ourselves to spirit, becoming more aware of spirit, and ultimately raising our own vibration. Because if you remember, my whole mission is to raise the spiritual awareness and vibration of humanity, one person at a time. It may take a while. But what it's trying to do is really trying to get this moving forward. So with that, I want to thank you all. I know this has been a little bit weighty, but if you can begin to understand the concepts, that because we are creating our own reality every second of every day, and all the people that we see are actually the extensions of ourselves, then if we forgive another person, we are forgiving ourselves. And that's what we need to do. Be selfish, love yourself, forgive yourself. And then as you do that, that's going to rub off on other people. And you're going to be healing people and sending other people love and sending other people forgiveness and sending other positivity. And that's just going to go on and on and on and on, surrounding and so forth. So with that, I want to thank you for watching, and I want to thank you for contemplating this rather weighty and unusual topic, but we're really focused on what spirit is bringing us every day. So with that, I thank you, and love and light, and this is Chris signing off, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye for now.